Joining me today on the Community Ledger. Today, I want to share a story about what I read a little bit earlier today in regards to Charlemagne the God, who you all may know from the Breakfast Club. Charlemagne the God has filed a cease and desist to Donald Trump. That is correct. Yes, so it seems like Charlemagne is upset with the fact that Donald Trump is using his likeness and his words for a particular campaign. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but a couple weeks ago, maybe even just last week, a few days back, Charlemagne came on the Breakfast Club and he was speaking to Envy. And he stated that while watching the football game on Sunday, he saw an ad, a Trump ad, promoting Trump. And in that ad, he was highlighting the fact that Kamala has plans to utilize taxpayer dollars to fund transgender surgeries for not only inmates, but immigrants as well. And Charlemagne said, you know what, that was incredibly impactful, because the first thing I said was, hell no, I don't want my tax dollars going to nothing like this. He said that was impactful. So even though he is a Kamala supporter, he did feel like that bit of legislation and that ad was impactful. Now that Trump has added that little tidbit in some of his campaign ads on national television, Charlemagne is upset. He does not want anyone using his name and likeness to promote Trump. Although that ad was impactful and it made its mark, it does make Kamala look unfavorable in the eyes of a lot. And, you know, it's interesting because soon after that, he had an interview, a town hall meeting with Miss Kamala. And oddly enough, the town hall meeting was hosted in Detroit. You know, they also said Lizzo was in Detroit speaking. And it was so interesting because one of the things that she said on the podium is like, you know, if Kamala becomes president, every part of America is going to look just like Detroit. That's not a good thing, Lizzo. Everybody with eyes that can see knows that Detroit is beat. Okay, now I'm sure there are a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of good, hardworking people who are living in Detroit. However, we do not want all of America looking like Detroit. The housing market is deplorable. The auto industry is not existent. And the record industry is a museum. Okay, you have Motown Museum in Detroit. So nothing's popping in Detroit. So I just thought that that was interesting that she wanted to mention that while on the campaign trail, because that is definitely, I wouldn't think that would be a plus in the eyes of many. But nonetheless, I digress. And so Charlemagne went ahead and he interviewed Miss Kamala in Detroit. And so I'm going to tell you the truth. I tried to watch the interview and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. You know, he started very lighthearted, very fun. She seemed a little bit more personable than she does. And he asked her, what do you want to say to the people who feel like, you know, you never really come off script and you don't really answer questions in the manner in which they prefer? And she said, you're welcome. You know, she's disciplined and she sticks to the script and she stays educating the people on the things she thinks that they need to be educated on. And that is how dangerous Trump is. However, based on surveys, based on polls, based on all the other interviews that we can see all over television and social media and radio, that is not what people are concerned with. People are concerned with how she will lead, how she's going to handle the border, how she's going to handle inflation, how she's going to handle immigration and finances and all of these proxy wars abroad. She can't answer any of those things. And so as the interview with Charlemagne continued, I couldn't stomach it. I'm honest. I'm just being honest. I couldn't stomach it. And so, you know, for those who have not had enough of Kamala at this part or at this stage of the campaign, you can most certainly go over to their channel on YouTube and check out that town hall. But for me personally, I think I'm over Kamala. You know, I've seen enough. I've seen all I need to see. And so, yeah, that's what it is. So Charlemagne doesn't want Trump, using his words to promote himself in any way. However, he did a very softball, lackluster interview with Kamala that I don't think promoted her in any way either. But you be the judge. And on to the next story that I wanted to talk to you about today is Trump at McDonald's. So, everyone is making jokes about the fact that they don't really even believe that Kamala actually worked at McDonald's. She cannot tell anyone which McDonald's she actually worked at. There are no records. McDonald's has not come out to confirm it. However, Trump felt it would be beneficial for him to speak to the people and go to McDonald's and work for a day. Now, I did read the article that the New York Times wrote about it, and the New York Times said it was, Troll doing what he does best, which is to troll and create division. The division, they think, came from the fact that you had tons of Trump supporters who were standing outside that McDonald's wanting pictures, wanting to see him. And there were also Kamala supporters out there stating that this was just a publicity stunt and that that's all it was. It was just him trolling and being himself to create dissension and division and the things of the likes. I did personally watch a few interviews. I won't say interviews. I did watch a few clips of him at McDonald's, and he seemed incredibly personable. Of course, he made his jabs at Kamala, and he insinuated that what she states about him about her working at McDonald's is all BS. But he did seem incredibly personable. He gave a lot of compliments to not only the workers, but everyone that came through the drive-through. He did work the fries. And so he just seemed, like I say, incredibly friendly and incredibly personable. And I personally thought it was refreshing simply because anytime you do see Kamala as, just as a competitor, I don't get that same energy. For me personally, she just comes off as incredibly disingenuous, incredibly fake. And I'll be honest that I am biased. I am not a fan. I'm not only not a fan of her policies, I'm not a fan on some of her background with regards to how she was as a district attorney or a prosecutor in California. I have family in California, Oakland specifically. These people are educated at Stanford, know her father very well, and have experiences with Kamala as well. And it was interesting for them to tell me personally they wouldn't vote for her, and that they don't think that her intentions are good, and they do not think that she has any good intentions for the Black community specifically. And I found that incredibly interesting. And what's more interesting about that story is the fact that my entire life, these family members have lived in California, Oakland specifically. I spent a lot of my childhood going back and forth to Oakland to spend time with them. And now, just this year, they have both sister and brother, two sisters and one brother. Everyone has now left California. One has gone to Louisiana and the other one is in Texas. And so for lifelong Californians to leave California is incredibly telling. And I would be remiss to say that I think Kamala and her legacy and her policies had a little bit to do with that. But again, thank you so much for joining me today. That's all I have for you. I appreciate you coming in just to spend a little time with me and get my insight on this Charlemagne situation, as well as Trump at McDonald's. If you wouldn't mind, I would love if you would like, share, and subscribe. I am new to YouTube and I am trying my best to gain some love. So please, if there's anything that you want me to go over or speak to, do not hesitate to send a comment and I'll get right to it. So again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you again for joining the Community Ledger.